Hello and welcome to We Could Do It Better. I am Jonah Maple, and coming around in just a second, as always, is my co-host, our co-host, Grant Coven. Today is April 17th. It's 12:30. It's really nice weather outside, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it started off kind of chilly today, but we are definitely, warming up. I think I saw
Yeah.
maybe late 50s, early 60s, hopefully by the end of the day, which will be nice. But yeah, no, we've got a pretty good segment today.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got a good. It's gonna be a good episode because we got very lucky. I'm probably just gonna jump straight into this if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But I was in my one of my cinema sound design classes today, and I was not paying attention because I was zoning out and bored. And I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I saw that a Fantastic Four trailer dropped at 10 a.m. So of course I go off into a little corner away from the rest of the class to watch the trailer, and it blew my freaking mind. And I'm of course excited all over again. Not like the excitement really ever left me, but it's definitely adding on to the hype that I've got for this movie coming out in July. So the as always, it's got this very whimsical. I would call it whimsical vibe, right? Like,
Yeah.
it seems like it's been really interesting because from what we've seen from the first couple of looks at it, it seems like, oh, this is gonna be a fun, happy family movie, and then especially in this trailer we saw today, it's like, oh no, like there has been some moments in the trailer where I think I called it earlier this season. I don't think the Fantastic Four are going to win. I think they're going to abandon Earth, and Galactus will consume the Earth that they're on.
Yeah. Well, this is our second trailer or first trailer. Back a couple months ago, there was a teaser, and it was really. I mean, it was long, but it was a true teaser in terms of like you didn't get much information,
Right?
And we analyzed it to death just because that's who we are.
Yeah.
But I mean, you didn't get what the plot was going to
Right.
be for the movie based off of.
We knew Galactus was going to be in it, and the most we saw was just like a firestorm, kind of raining down on New York City.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that's probably Galactus's work, but nothing was really ever confirmed. But in the trailer today, we did get our first look at Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer, telling the Fantastic Four that their world has been marked for death, which is scary because if you know anything about Silver Surfer, every time, I mean, the Silver Surfer is the herald for Galactus. And
One of them,
of course, that we've got multiple. There's been a lot of different heralds for Galactus over the past, 50,
since they started
50
counting
years. Yeah. 50-ish, something like that.
It would have been 63. Would have been
Okay,
Galactus.
so 60-ish years.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so the Silver Surfer pretty much just says like, your city has been, or your planet has been marked for death, and pretty much flies away. And we've got Joseph Quinn's Human Torch that chases after the Silver Surfer, and I can't tell from the trailer. I mean, of course, when you look, I thought back to the original Fantastic Four movies with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans, and I noticed that in that movie, the Silver Surfer could manipulate their powers.
Yeah.
So when Joseph Quinn flew up into the stratosphere, it looked like he maybe lost his fire abilities upon touching the board.
I thought that might have been the case. I think
I'm
that's
not
just
sure.
the thing in those movies. It also could have just been there wasn't
Him
enough
burning out.
oxygen.
Right, and his flames went out.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're doing like a slightly more hard science approach. I mean,
We're overanalyzing it, but
as far as like hard science for Jack Kirby stuff ever gets.
right.
Um,
But yeah, it looked like this looks like a legitimate threat. And you've of course people going, they're all over social media being like, oh, this is just gonna be a typical movie where good defeats evil. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I really don't. I think that there's a solid chance, because clearly Reed Richards talks about how he bent space. Like he stretched the limits of space. And I've heard enough rumors and leaks kind of hinting to the fact that they're essentially imposters in this universe, and they actually did come from the 616 universe, or whatever, the sacred timeline,
the main MCU,
right? And they're just, which is so weird, because in this universe they apparently claim that they went up in this rocket ship and came back. Like, it sounded like because one of my earlier theories was, if you know anything about the Fantastic Four, they went up into space, got hit with cosmic rays, came back down, had powers. I thought in this spin, maybe they went up into space on the sacred timeline, not only got powers, but messed with multiversal energy and got sent to another dimension. Yeah. Or a different Earth, essentially. And this is where they are. But it seems like the rest of the population has some sort of memory of them going up into space before they got their powers.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm just kind of, theorizing stuff out. So I think I might have been disproven, but maybe not 100%. But yeah, so Silver Surfer looks amazing. We were talking about this yesterday, that Marvel loves, and we'll talk about this later too, but Marvel loves over texturizing.
Yeah, all
everything.
Of their a part of their general look is, especially on their suits, they give a bunch of lines to everything.
So I was expecting Silver Surfer to look over textured, and she doesn't. The Shala Ball Silver Surfer is completely silver. There's no over textured patterns on her. It's literally just a silver person. I'm like, that is how you do it.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I don't hate the Marvel look or anything, but I'm I want more variety. Mm-hmm. So I do like the idea that this is kind of they're just like WandaVision kind of had a unique style, even though I'd argue that they relied a little bit more on how stuff looks on the MCU than they should have. But this one also seems to have kind of a unique style in terms of how everything looks.
And even with the Fantastic Four suits, I don't think they're necessarily over textured either. I think they could have right. I think they could have. I mean, obviously they could have gone more simpler if they wanted to, but I don't think it was necessary. I think I hope in recent years they've kind of noticed how a lot of the suits look very similar just throughout the entire MCU, in just terms of how over textured it is. But I am very, I might, I've got a lot of, I do cosplay in my free time. So I've got multiple Spider-Man suits. I've got a Deadpool suit, and I kind of want to get a Reed Richards suit. I'm a huge fan of how he looks and how that suit looks, and I would definitely see myself wearing that to the Fantastic Four premiere. But yeah, no, it all looks awesome. The biggest thing that people walked away with from the teaser was everyone noticed that, or at least the fans noticed that everyone got their powers. Everyone got to showcase their powers except for Mr. Fantastic. But we finally got our first look. It's maybe a second long of him stretching, and it looks good. It does. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like bad CGI. It looks like pretty good CGI for being stretchy. Because that was initially one of the things that scared me most. Is I was looking at this, I'm like, oh, are they scared to show off the stretchiness because the CGI is going to look bad? No, it looks really good. It looks very lifelike. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. We did talk about this for the teaser from a couple months ago. They didn't do that. I just assuming that that's something that they just maybe haven't figured out yet, because we don't know what a person on fire, in the same way that Johnny Storm is on fire, or we don't really, there's no Rock Man, but when someone stretches, it can look kind of like weird. So just like, yeah, I mean, it's CGI stuff. Like that's all post production.
And it's easy to make because it's much easier to make, like, especially the suit look like it's stretching longer because you don't have to manipulate human skin as much. So I do really appreciate that. I did totally skip over our first point, but in the teaser trailer, Mr. Fantastic or Reed Richards always said to, I guess, someone touring the building that they always try to make an effort for family dinner and, always be on time, like once a week. I think they said every Sunday.
Yeah.
And in this trailer, Reed Richards and Sue Storm were late to dinner. And, you get, kind of a mouthy Johnny Storm that says, "You're late." And, kind of giving Sue and Reed a hard time. And Sue and Reed look a little bit worried and then kind of like sit down. And then the Thing picks up on the facial expressions of Sue and Reed. He's like, "You're late." He's like, "Yeah, that's what he just said." He's like, and finally they start putting it together, or at least, Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, they put it together that Sue is pregnant. And, of course, everyone's celebrating. This is going to be awesome. Which this definitely means that Sue Storm is pregnant with Franklin Richards.
Franklin or Valeria or both. But
Franklin's older.
Yeah, well, I would assume that they do Franklin just because in terms of like the overall mythology for Marvel, like he's like the more important one. He was in like he has like reality defined powers. He was in Days of Future Past, all that kind of stuff.
Although it does make me really interested because I'm curious to see if we're going to get a time jump from now to Secret Wars, or Doomsday. Because Franklin and Valeria Richards are arguably one of the most important people in Secret Wars, just because of the roles they play, especially Valeria. Valeria is a huge part of at least Hickman's run of Secret Wars. Not so much in the Marvel superhero Secret Wars back in the 1980s.
Yeah, it would have been 82.
Yeah,
I think.
So again, they might. I would assume like they would have to be. I just don't know how you would do it without them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have cautious optimism.
Yeah.
Because like basically everything Marvel now.
Right. Well, like Valeria was named by Doctor Doom, right?
You know more about Fantastic Four than me.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Valeria was because you got Latveria.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to fact check myself later.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna fact check myself right now.
Yeah. But
yeah, you talk.
Moving on to the next thing. According to the what's the name of the director again?
It is. I've got it pulled up right here. Matt Shakman.
According to Matt Shakman, Doctor Doom is not going to be in Fantastic Four First Steps. Mm-hmm. Of course, he always could be lying. Marvel does sometimes like keep secrets around this kind of stuff.
I did pull up this article too to talk about this with you. But he said yes, he's not going to be featured. But yes, this doesn't mean that he's not going to, show up, of course. But Shakman did say Doom's a great character, but he takes up a lot of air, which I totally agree with. If you're going to do a movie about Galactus, don't put Doom in it. At least don't feature Doom. And then he also went on to say other film adaptations have done both an origin story and Doom. We're doing neither, and that allows us to look at them from a fresh perspective.
I think I understand that.
And it kind of sounds like he's spoiling what RDJ's Doom is going to be, because if it's not going to be an origin story and it's not going to be like already a pre-established Doom, then part of me thinks that they are absolutely going to do an infamous Iron Man for Doctor Doom, and I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can speculate that much, but I will say it is like jumping into immediately. Assumably, like Doomsday and Secret Wars are kind of like a part 1, part 2 of the same event. So immediately hopping into like Doctor Doom's like biggest story, I think is kind of like I don't feel great about that move, just because like of how ingrained that character is with the fiction, and especially if like the first time we see him really challenging someone is challenging the Avengers. I don't think that makes sense, because I like part of the reason why Doctor Doom is one of the greatest villains in fiction is I think because of his relationship with Reed Richards,
Right.
and how that interacts. And well, I just like the relationship with Reed Richards, but also his story. Like as an individual character, he has a great story. Like his origin story is very important. I mean, like from like his first appearance in like 8,
And it hadn't really been done much before. Like we never truly get to see like Latveria.
Yeah,
Ever.
I mean, really only in like the old cartoons,
Right?
And like that's not even really part of. I'd say like for a lot of people our age or younger, is like version of like what they think of for Doctor Doom, and like unless they read Fantastic Four comics, which not that many
No.
like Fantastic Four comics. I mean they always sell somewhat, but they're never like as big as like X-Men or like Avengers are in the 21st century at least. So I don't know how to, because like Doctor Doom's origin story, like whether it's the bits from like the first appearance or from Annual #1 or from Triumph and Torment, it is like such an important part of that character.
Yeah.
And that is part of, I mean, alongside which is like the design and like how he acts, which like that's all Stan Jack too.
Yeah.
But just like that that's like why it works.
Yeah.
And I feel like just like making him just like the Avengers villain and kind of relying on RDJ is, I think I am judging a little bit. I have cautious optimism for I have cautious pessimism for Doomsday and all that.
So do I. And I want to be proven wrong so badly. I feel like most of the time we usually are, especially with just the fans, is like I'm able to be introspective enough to be like, okay, Marvel probably won't let us down too badly. When you've got the Russo brothers at the helm of these movies, it probably can't go terribly. At least they'll be able to give us a good story. We might not like the origin of it, but I think regardless, we will come around to it eventually.
Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, like some of the stuff, like I don't know, like some of the stuff, like I've really lost hope for them doing X-Men, just like all the stuff that I've heard, and also just how Disney interacts with with like deep social messaging in general. That it, like if it is bad, it that's fine. But I mean, I hope they do this. They adapt this stuff well, and that other people can like enjoy it.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of the same, and develop the same kind of love, and hopefully like read like the old Stan and Jack stories, or that stuff that we love.
But yeah, I think we covered just about all of our bases.
You watched I haven't seen it yet, but the Thunderbolts, because I've been really busy this week, but the Thunderbolts trailer dropped yesterday.
It did. Actually, I don't think it was yesterday. It might have been a couple days ago.
Okay.
But we did get a final trailer, which really put a emphasis on Yelena and how deeply traumatized she is. Like, we've said this before, but Thunderbolts, just based from the trailer, seems different. Like, and that's, I mean, what I love about this year for Marvel so far is everything feels different.
Kind of.
Like, especially like when you've got kind of like an indie character study on a bunch of superheroes, and then you've got a retro-futuristic. I mean, last time we got retro-futuristic was pretty much WandaVision-ish. It was kind of just more retro.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like Marvel is kind of, they're not making different genres, but they've got different tones, and that's something that it at least makes things interesting. Like, they can still keep that, Marvel vibe, of course, but it's nice that we're at least getting different subgenres, I guess, of Marvel movies. Like, yes, there's always going to be punching, kicking, world saving, that sort of stuff, but this at least feels different, at least. And clearly everyone on that team has their demons and they're fighting it, and, they're all disturbed. But at the end, like, it does seem like it's a really good, it's going to be an awesome team up, even if they're not going to be working perfectly in sync. And I think that's going to be arguably better than something like, I mean, even the Avengers didn't work in perfect harmony. So just seeing another group of, people whose abilities are pretty much just punching, kicking, and shooting. Seeing how all of them work together is going to be really interesting. But we did get Void mentioned for the first time, which is pretty much Sentry's what's the term?
his
composite.
Yeah, that's better. His like greatest enemy that is also himself.
Yeah.
But I've become more and more excited. I mean, more and more excited for this. I'm still, like